2 years ago, before I did psychedelics for the first time, I was on a very destructive path, just working myself to death, to prove myself, to prove that I deserve to be in rooms like this. And it's hard when you're an influencer, when you're in health and you're dying, because you want to prove yourself so bad. And I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be on this stage. I should be in the ground. I knew what my path was, and something had to change. And for me, psychedelics were very scary. They were drugs. I had done alcohol, but I've never done something like that, psilocybin. Hello, everyone. I am so glad to be here. Thank you, Vishen, for having me. Thank you, Mind Valley. Thank you, all my friends, especially. I'm curious for you guys, who has, and feels comfortable to say this, if you feel comfortable, put your hand up. Who has done psychedelics or microdosing? Amazing. I'm microdosing right now, so that's amazing. I'm so glad to hear this. The tide is turning. I don't think that these are just recreational compounds anymore. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of science here, and I'm excited to show that to you. So you see this, and this is incredible. My life has been amazing. Storybook. All the things that I've accomplished, stages I've been on, TV, a book, 700 formulas. I look at this and I'm just stunned. And it seems like I am the total rock star. But I want you to know that right now, normally I'm polished and calm on stage, but this is really hard today. Because I'm going to talk about being suicidal, being very depressed, almost killing myself 3 different times. And I want you to know that behind this rock star thing was a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of insecurity. I grew up bullied and abused. And it was difficult to see my way through these things. Thank you.
Experiment and start to consider what you might be like sitting here right now if you never found psychedelic experiences.
Probably dead.
Probably dead.
Probably dead.
Wow.
I was 80 to 100 hours a week. All the biohacking that I know, all the supplements that I know, all the tricks and hacks and all the things are so that I could survive what I was doing to my body.
Wow.
For years. And I was having to use stimulants and Ambien and all the things because I was traveling so much, pushing so hard, trying to get more hours out of the day. I was waking up as someone who's in health and biohacking with a bloody mouth, with a uvula that's swollen to my throat because I was hypnotically sleeping, just trying to get a little bit of sleep because I couldn't sleep because I was hypervigilant. I was thinking about every hour of every day, trying to get to what's next, get a little bit more, get in the bigger room. And it was killing me. And this past year, a brother-in-law died, basically because of apnea and being overweight. And my brother had a stroke and a heart attack because he's very similar. And these things are wake-up calls for me too. I mean, this is the age. Mm-hmm. You know, 40s and 50s, you need to like make some shifts. Like you can't be the party guy anymore, you know? And it's now is the time, and I could be gone. I could be gone, for sure.
It's hard for me to watch that, like even now, to know that two years ago, before I did psychedelics for the first time, I was on a very destructive path. just working myself to death to prove myself, to prove that I deserve to be in rooms like this. And it's hard when you're an influencer, when you're in health and you're dying, because you want to prove yourself so bad. And I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be on this stage. I should be in the ground. I knew what my path was, and something had to change. And for me, psychedelics were very scary. They were drugs. I had done alcohol, but I had never done something like that, psilocybin. And taking psilocybin radically changed my life path. For the first time in my life, I knew what loving myself was. Up until that point, I don't believe I had ever truly loved anyone, including myself. And I was always on this hustle and grind path of going as fast as I could, as hard as I could, never loving myself, trying to level up. The bar was always moving. There's always a bigger room. There's always more money. There's always greater things. And it was crushing me, and I was dying. And I had a lot of accomplishments. I was really successful. Multi-millionaire, great cars, big house, traveled the world. And I was dying. Can you guys do me a favor? Can you close your eyes right now? Please, no one look at anyone else. I just want to know. And I want you to know that I'm on this full list I'm going to give you, every single one of them. How many of you, if you can put your hand up, have dealt with clinical depression in your life? How many of you have dealt with crippling anxiety? Wow. How many of you have dealt with trauma that haunts you, that changes your behavior? PTSD. Wow. Yeah, these numbers that I'm going to show you are incredible in a minute, but they're underreported. Please, let me ask one more if you can keep your eyes closed. How many of you have dealt with suicidal thoughts like I have? Okay. All right, you guys can open your eyes. Thank you for being honest. I'll just tell you, more than a third of the room said yes to all those. You're welcome. You're welcome. No, that's great. So, I want to change this up for a second. That's heavy. So you guys, if you can stand up, let's shake it off. I don't know, maybe I didn't have this in my thing. Maybe you can like play a little different music or something. But I just want everyone to shake this off for a second. So let's feel good. That was heavy. I love you guys. I'm here for you guys. Inside my bones, it goes electric wavy when I turn it. All right. Off to my city, off that was heavy. Home. All right, thank you. Okay. So thank you for riding with me on that. And I want to say, so this couple is a huge part of what saved my life. It's not just the psychedelics, it's the facilitators. It's super important. Having someone that understands you, that sets intentions, that has facilitated work, keeping you safe in the environment while you're going through this, and then doing integration work in the weeks and months to follow. Super critical. It's not just the psychedelics. When you hear someone say, oh, I've taken LSD, I've taken MDMA, I've taken psilocybin, okay, but did you take them in a facilitated way, consciously? It's very different. This couple's amazing. They have a whole program. You can reach out to them. I highly encourage them. Also, this whole deck, there's a lot of stuff in here. I'm going to go through it really quick. It's super scientific, but at the end, there's a link for it. and you can download the whole thing for free. And if you're into the science, if you want to know how to do all this, it's all there, okay? So look at these stats. 23% more than 5 years ago on SSRIs. Stunning. 308 million people worldwide have PTSD. That's about the population of the United States. And I can tell you from just seeing these numbers, that's vastly underreported. 10.3 million adults had serious suicidal thoughts, and that's up about 500,000 from the prior year. Obviously, COVID didn't help, but these numbers are staggering. And again, these numbers are underreported. What are we doing about it? Are the SSRIs helping? Is the therapy helping? You're seeing psychedelics take off. A lot of research is happening right now. And a lot of money is coming in, billions of dollars. So if you think these things aren't going to be legal soon, they will. The money proves that. The money is there. One thing that I would say for the people that are doing the research and are bringing in the money is they're kind of removing the psychedelic component, and they just want the therapeutic component. And while I understand that, and I'm going to talk about the therapeutic aspects, there is something to being in the 5D, the quantum, having your epiphany, having your shift. It can be massive. And they're kind of removing that here. So I just want you to be aware of that. My talk is going to focus on the science, but there's certainly something to Wanpa talking about psychedelics from a different aspect. But the work I'm trying to do is really trying to legitimize this. And I feel like that's best done with my perspective from a scientific angle. So these are the ones that people are studying right now. MDMA, psilocybin, ketamine, and you're seeing LSD and ibogaine start to break through as well. And again, facilitated is important. Facilitated psychedelic therapy. It's not just these compounds. It needs to be done together with mental therapy. And mental therapy alone is not that effective. Your ego is good at like reframing and changing. Saying, we don't need this. I don't believe that. This is who we are. This is your identity. So it's far more effective to have the psychedelic and the therapy together. Look at this data. This is one use of psilocybin with people that are depressed. 10% more neurons, these are brain cells, gained. And then they were 10% bigger. This means your brain is coming back online. It's incredible. One use. This is from Yale. And these numbers are just staggering. 71% of the people in this study who took psilocybin, who had major depressive disorder, showed greater than 50% reduction in symptoms in 4 weeks. Greater than 50% in 4 weeks. Half. And then look at this next one. At the conclusion of the study, 50% of those participants did not need further medical intervention, meaning no more SSRIs, no more therapy. That's a staggering number. And are you hearing about this? You're hearing about Cymbalta, you're hearing about Lexapro, you're not hearing about this. Johns Hopkins, 58% needed no further treatment at 12 months. About 6 out of 10. Staggering numbers. We're not hearing this. This should actually make you angry. It's so effective, and so many of us are hurting. I could be dead, you could be dead. The outcomes are real. MDMA. 67% no longer met the diagnosis for PTSD. PTSD is serious. A lot of soldiers in particular, abuse victims, are dealing with this. And then their families and loved ones are dealing with it. And 67% no longer met the diagnosis? That's crazy. And you're not hearing about it. And what I love in this study is they did all the right things. They did the facilitated psychotherapy. They did the intention setting, the facilitation, the integration. Ketamine. This is now being used at many clinics across the United States, and hopefully psilocybin and some of these other ones will come along. But it's nice because it can be done so quickly. You can literally do this on a lunch break. And this study showed that it works as an antidepressant in less than an hour. SSRIs can take weeks or months. So psychedelics work, according to science, as neurotransmitters in your brain being temporarily chemically altered. But it's so much deeper than that. And they'll tell you that serotonin is the one that matters most. But it's a lot more than that. So neurotransmitters are chemical messengers between your neurons, your brain cells, that are talking to each other. And there's a lot of them. A lot more than just serotonin. Have you guys heard of all these? Yeah, but we're just here in depression. All we ever hear about is serotonin, SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. But these other ones are so important. And not only are these important to your brain, about 70% of them are down in your gut-brain axis. And there's leaky brain and leaky gut, and there's a lot going on. But this is how your brain, this is how you as an operating system works. All of these messengers, and they all matter, not one. So just to show, and again, I have all the science, you can download the deck. But dysregulation isn't just serotonin. When you see depression, you have glutamate, norepinephrine, GABA. All of these are shown to be depressed in people that have clinical depression, anxiety, PTSD. And we're not addressing all of them. But guess what? Psychedelics do. They affect all of the neurotransmitters. This is really interesting as well. They have anti-inflammatory effects. They bring the immune system back online as well. And a lot of times in depression, PTSD, anxiety, there's neuroinflammation around the brain. It's that brain fog. It's not operating right. Psychedelics can remove that inflammation. And here, this is a complicated slide, but I just want to show that there is so many mechanisms of action that psychedelics don't work the same way. They're all different. And which one works for you is going to vary. So you need to work with the right facilitator. You need to talk to them, and they can guide you down this path. One of the most important aspects of psychedelics is neuroplasticity. This is like when your brain is young, fluid intelligence, taking on new tasks, having resilience. You can literally think and reframe easier. And those of us that fight depression are stuck in loops. We have low neuroplasticity. We can't reframe easily. We keep thinking about, what did they say? Why did they say that? And you just stay in your loops. So we're not neuroplastic. But guess what? Psychedelics help your brain be more malleable. It increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It increases NGF, nerve growth factor. mTOR brings the brain back online and makes it younger. And what happens is you can rewire those neurons. They can unwire from the unhealthy behaviors and rewire into new healthy behaviors. It's like throwing fresh powder over the tracks. And now you have a whole new path that you can go down. Look at this quote. Michael Pollan, huge fan, wrote the book, How to Change Your Mind. I encourage you to read this book or listen to it. Participants rank their psilocybin experience as one of the most meaningful in their lives, comparable to the birth of a first child or death of a parent. 2/3 of the participants rated the session among the top 5 most spiritually significant experiences of their lives. 1/3 ranked it the most significant such experience in their lives, above the birth of a child, the death of a parent, marriage, anything. That's staggering. And again, we're not hearing about it. It's not normalized yet to talk about this. There is a documentary, speaking of Michael Pollan, that just hit Netflix. I encourage you to watch it. It goes into depth on all of this stuff. It's really well done. It just came out about a week ago. So check that out. And let's get the conversation going. But this is a really good sign about how mainstream this is. This is my research and my money slide on how psychedelics work. And it's a whole lot more than neurotransmitters. There's a lot of things going on. Number 3, the ego suppression, turning off default mode network. This is really important. Your ego, again, can protect, but also prevent. And when your ego is suppressed in psychedelics, you're face to face with your truth, your authentic truth. There's no reframing it. It is. And you're neuroplastic, meaning you can rewire those neurons. So this is why this is a special state to make change and get aligned with your actual truth. Also, and in particular with ketamine, dissociation is powerful. We tend to keep this backpack of trauma on ourselves and tell ourselves, this is who we are, this is what we deserve, this is my identity. But in ketamine or in psychedelics, you can take that backpack off, you can put it down, you can see yourself apart from it, and then feel who you are without it, and feel, oh, this feels good. I don't need that backpack. I don't need to have that anymore. And you can put it down for good. And therapy does not do that. That's why these are so powerful. So I'm the supplement guy. I want to get into these really quick. I don't have a ton of time. Again, these will be available in my deck. But adaptogens, things like rhodiola, ashwagandha, maca, ginseng, love them. These are helping your body function more optimally. That's why they're bimodal, which means they can enhance your sleep and give you more energy. How does it do that? Because it's optimizing you. It's not coming at a cost like caffeine. These are supplements for cerebral blood flow to enhance blood to the brain while you're going through these experiences or while you're making those changes after. Things like niacin, ginkgo, vinpocetine. Electrolytes, hydration, massively important. This is probably one of the few ones that you do hear about when you're going through a journey. And certainly, a number of these compounds are diuretic in nature, meaning you need to hydrate, or else you'll have cramping or brain fog or all these things. So it's really important, especially magnesium too. CBD, the endocannabinoid system is so underappreciated in the body. This is kind of frustrating to me, like psychedelics. This is the master regulator system involved in pain, mood, immunity, and we're not hearing about it. No one specializes in it. There's no doctors in it. We don't test for it. We can't know what deficiencies we have. And yet it's so critical to our well-being. And so I'm a huge fan of at least testing yourself with CBD, CBG, CBN, trying some of these compounds and seeing what works for you. These are neuroprotectant supplements, supplements that can help protect the brain. I mean, overall, most of these psychedelics are improving the brain function, but sometimes there can be stress to the brain. You don't need to take all of these things, by the way. These are just suggestions of some things that work. Anxiolytic supplements. So these are supplements that reduce anxiety. And really, my most powerful one here, the herbal Xanax, if you will, is Magnolia, which is standardized for hanakiol, or its metabolite dihydrohanakiol beta. And I'll say this, with psychedelics, I think people tend to think, he's a bigger guy, so he needs more. He needs to take 3 grams of psilocybin, not 2 grams. That's actually not the case. It's not related to size. It's really related to your autonomic nervous system, where you're at in terms of fight or flight or rest and digest. Most of us that are depressed, that are anxious, are in sympathetic nervous system. And so we're not relaxed. And it takes more of these psychedelics to overwhelm the body and get us to this state. Whereas if you're someone who's experienced and relaxed, it'll take a lower dose. This is where microdosing could be very helpful. Maybe you can start there, get your body attuned to it, and then start taking larger doses, journey doses, mini doses, full doses. Serotonin support. So I do love serotonin. I certainly think it's important. And after a big experience, you can have contraction. And so I definitely think it's important to bring this back online. And Zembrin, which is Kana extract, is an SSRI. So that's going to help to do that quite a bit. Acetylcholine. If you're focused, like when you're doing hard work, when you're studying, you're going through a lot of acetylcholine. A lot of nootropic stacks revolve around acetylcholine. But if you're processing, if you're doing deep thinking during your journeys, this is something you want to replenish, or else you'll feel cognitively exhausted. So these are some supplements that can help with that. Microdosing LSD. Anyone done this? Maybe? I like it. So this is Jim Fadiman's protocol. And so it is 1/10 of what would be a full experiential dose done every 3rd day. So 10 micrograms every 3rd day. And you can stack it with other nootropics, things like N-acetyltyrosine or other racetams. And it'll help you get into that more creative state, more of that flow state. Ketamine reset. This is super cool. So I talked before about ketamine and how quick it can be. Dr. Matt Cook is doing something fascinating here. He's also saying, okay, we're resetting the brain. What if we reset the mitochondria as well? What if we give you NAD IV? What if we give you CoQ10? What if we give you exosomes for a full body reset at the same time? This is having amazing results. So stacking all these things scientifically can be profound. This is the microdosing protocol for psilocybin, Paul Stamets. And so 100 milligrams, supposed to be sub-perceptual. I feel like there's a lot of people that talk about microdosing psilocybin that are very perceptual, where it ends up being like a mini dose or a full journey or something. But this is what it should be, is around 100 milligrams, having niacin, having lion's mane for BDNF. Ergothioneine, I'm going to go quickly through these because I only have so much time. But this is a rare amino acid that actually protects the mitochondria. It's a brand new ingredient that could be a new vitamin. Deficiencies are being shown that are related to cognitive decline. This is a powerful one that I think will be getting a lot of attention. This is a really cool ingredient, 7,8-dihydroxyflavone. This is way more powerful than lion's mane for increasing BDNF. This is associated with neuroplasticity. Matter of fact, in this study, they injected BDNF, and this outperformed it. So you want a supplement to certainly enhance your psychedelic experience or the results thereafter. This is it. But also, you just want a young brain. This is it too. This is an amazing ingredient. This is one, if you like to go drinking, that will prevent the hangover. An incredible ingredient. I think could be popular with your friends. I do have it when I go out and have drinks, for sure. But this is great at detoxing the body as well, at getting the liver to function optimally. It has great research. Paraxanthine, this is a caffeine metabolite that I've worked on. We have about 50 patents filed. Caffeine is, let me go to this one slide. Caffeine, about 59% of us are slow metabolizers. We have all the side effects and very little benefit because the benefit comes from paraxanthine. But we're stuck in actually what's toxic, the caffeine, and it's a slow drip to the thing that's good. So we have all the side effects and a little benefit. But when you go straight to the ingredient, the paraxanthine, you have all the benefits and no side effects. Amazing. Glutathione's up, BDNF is up, blood flow to the brain is up, mood is lifted through dopamine, serotonin. This ingredient's just hitting the market right now. And then quickly, fasting. I think this is really underappreciated in journeys, that throughout history, fasting has been talked about. And yes, fasting means not having food, not having maybe water, not partaking in indulgences. This makes sense, right? And what's happening when you're going into fasting? You're boosting ketones. There is incredible synergy with healing the brain through boosting ketones. You have reduced neuroinflammation, better traumatic brain injury outcomes, better brain energetics. So this could be a very potent combination to not only do fasting, but to have things like dihydroberberine, to have MCTs, to have ketones, to do the ketogenic diet going into a psychedelic experience. No one's talking about that. So this is my stack for pre-journey. Again, you don't need to use all of these things. I know it's a lot, so just use the ones that resonate with you. But I want to have a full list so that if someone wants to go all in, they can. This is my gold standard stack. This would be what I would do during the journey. Again, just something that could mix in the water bottle that's not too complicated. You don't want to be overwhelming someone who's going through an experience. And post-journey, again, a lot of stuff. Choose what you like. But this is an excellent stack to bring the brain and body back online so that we can heal and recover faster, so that we can make those changes better, so that we can anchor those new behaviors better. And no one is doing this. No one has supplement stacks or diets around psychedelics. It's very underwhelming what's happening right now with psychedelics. This is my microdosing stack, so this is probably the most involved, but this is for people that just long-term want the ultimate in brain enhancement. And so I want to conclude by saying thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. This has really been a hard talk for me. And I do want to say that I went through one experience one time. They weren't all positive. I had one experience that was really rough. So it really matters who you're working with. I worked with a medical doctor that I trusted, that I was paying $80,000 a year to do concierge medicine, to do exosomes and all these things with. And he gave me a mushroom he had never tried before, and it turned out to be about 8 times a normal mushroom, and I was galactic. I couldn't see or hear anything in the room. And then he said he was tired and he was putting me to bed. At that point, I had full ego death, and I was dissociated from my identity and who I was. My whole body was tremoring. I didn't know my name, if I was ever coming back. It was very traumatic, and it took further work in psychedelics with my facilitators to bounce back from that. So I just want to say that while I'm showing you all the incredible effects of psychedelics, you have to work with the right people, the right medicine. It matters. These are potent molecules. So I appreciate you for being here. I appreciate your vulnerability. Thank you so much. And I'm proud of myself that I'm alive, that I'm here to deliver this message to you. I love you guys. I'm here to support you. Please, anyone, message me, email me. I will be here for you. Thank you.